And we are back live on the Cowboys Report with the news that, based on the pin poll, not very many of you wanted. Mike McCarthy is back as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. He will not be going anywhere. He's going to get the fifth year, the final year on his contract. Sounds like, by the way, it's going to be no extension for Mike McCarthy. So we're doing the lame duck thing again that we already did once with Garrett, almost twice if you want to really cut it close there with Jason Garrett. Mike McCarthy is back as the Cowboys head coach. This was the vibe over the last 24-ish hours. Once the Dallas Morning News mouthpiece came out and said, hey, the best path is to keep him, there's a reason we were live in like 30 minutes. We weren't even in the office. It was all pre-built. Are the Cowboys right to keep Mike McCarthy? Is this the correct move? Y for yes, N for no. We're going to treat this as the the day after Cowboys lost therapy hour. You can rant. That is absolutely fine with me. Chris B has a super chat to Michael Sutton, by the way, too. That one should be in there somewhere. We'll go to Chris B's first. Says, what an effing joke. Whatever joke of a franchise. I don't think Chris is alone in this thought. Michael's might have come in before you had set the stream key in, because we scheduled it remotely. So, okay, let's see if it comes in. If not, we'll just read it off loud. But I do want to get you on screen if possible there, Mike, because I do appreciate your super chat here. Crispy Bacon says, I am down bad. I need loads and loads of alcohol. It's 8:24 Eastern, so Liv's going to go to bed soon. So, After Dark rules engaged. Cheers. Not going to be enough for me in the end. It's like all no's in the comments, but by the way. It's all no's in there. Tan Fam, a super chat as well. Yeah, here we go. Another one and done. SMH. Ooh, that one stings, but it's a good one. That's a good one on that front. That was a strong one there, Tan Fam. I appreciate that. I'll just read off Michael's, because background here is we, of course, were not in the office when this news broke. So I scheduled it from home and drove in before we get the actual comments polling. Michael's super chat came in. So Michael had said, first time I've ever felt like not even watching football next year, one and done. Until they prove us wrong, how can we not feel that way? Mark, you have an opportunity to nab two great coaches, and you stick with this ding-dong. I bet he pays Dak $60 million a year as well. Clown show, stupid. You know what's funny is, I don't know if funny is the right word. If you want to be more competitive next year, you need to do something with the Dak deal, because that's how the smart teams are doing it. You're pushing the money off into the future. If you don't do anything with the Dak deal, well, then you are paying him almost $60 million, because you messed up 4 years ago when you didn't pay him when you should have, and you are refusing to make changes and be aggressive and blah, blah, blah. Rebuild says Jerry Jones is and always has been a narcissist, egomaniacal imbecile, and the root cause of this repeated, expected, and inevitable buffoonery in Dallas. We hit 10 of the big buzzwords there. Check Cypress. There's been two constants since 1996 when everything has gone terribly, terribly wrong. Jerry Jones / the Joneses, and also Rowdy, to be fair. Your mascot is a plague upon our houses as well, and no one ever actually likes him. Rebuild is a very fun name for this one, by the way, because you're not wrong. It's very frustrating. I think you had two options. Go be aggressive, which I think you can still kind of do with Mike, but if you lose Quinn or you fire Quinn, what good defensive coordinator is going to come in here and be like, yes, I want to hitch my wagon to a lame duck head coach? It's not. The good coordinators don't want to do that. That's not how they do business. Jose Valdez, can we just go boycott at the ducking start? Or at the ducking star, love a good tie, or autocorrect, I should say. You can. We're Stockholm Syndrome. We're too far in here. I'm a mod god of COD. Fan of almost 20 years. I'm done till I see change. This is not going to be a unique sentiment, by the way. I mean, when we did the video this morning of, hey, it kind of sounds like they're going to keep him, plenty of those comments. And I can't say I blame you guys. Been a long time of this. Been a fan for 20 years. You don't know what success is. You have no idea what it is. We haven't seen it. You also barely remember the dark ages, but like, it's not real success. So I get it. I'm annoyed as hell right now. I'm not even mad. I'm just sad. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks, and maybe I'll just start taking less than in the postseason for every Cowboys stat moving forward. You go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. You can do playoff Prize Picks. I get the vibe this Niners-Packers game might be a pretty big game for San Francisco. I'll take the more than Brock Purdy passing yards, the more than George Kittle receiving yards, and I'll go less than Aaron Jones running yards because Packers actually aired it out really good against you in the first half and the half quarter, I guess, and then everything all went out of control there. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. All right, Wes, just a $1 super chat. Thank you, Wes. I appreciate that. Grant Labelin, remind me, what's the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, and this is exactly what you're doing. Now, are the odds of it getting worse higher than the odds of it getting better? Yes, it is. At the same time, your realistic odds of getting to where you need to go aren't high either. So it depends on what odds you want. Michael, are you kidding me? You need a young, hungry coach. Well, you had Ben Johnson out there. I think Bobby Slowick could have been a fun fit for you. I certainly think that the possibility of... I'll fix this. I don't like that at all. I think the possibility of going after even a Bobby Slowick would have made some sense for you. That's not the route that they chose to go. And that's not something I'm a fan of in the end. I will fix it, Chris. It's not something I like at all. And it's not the move I would have made. And it's if you're Jerry, how are you going to sell this? Like, how are you going to go up there and be like, yes, I have the solution for you. It's to do the exact same thing. Doesn't make any sense to me. Really does not. Chris B. says Jerry is satisfied with a 12-6 record every year. One and done. This year it'll be different. That's what they've thought, not just for this head coach and this quarterback, but get to the postseason and see what happens. They continuously believe that is the case. There's a lot of one-and-done comments in there. So, who will the Cowboys lose to in round one of the playoffs next season? Who will it be? I am convinced, that should be good to go now, by the way, at the very bottom, that you'll probably run into either San Francisco or Green Bay. Because doesn't that just make sense? The teams you can't beat, the ones you lose to again. Rams, Packers. Rams is a decent choice because if you keep Dan Quinn, you can't stop Shanahan-McVay offenses very well. Most of the Shanahan tree in particular. Bucks, Falcons, Bears, Lions, Niners, Vikings. Curtis Lee says they won't make it. I think they're going to make it. Now, it might be like 10 wins this time, but they're still a good team. They're just not good enough. That's what's frustrating. Got to get to it. I mean, yeah, but you got to get to the other stuff with it, like the super chats. Like, you can't just. That's not how it's going to look. Panthers, Seattle, Commanders. Let's see. Commanders are not going to beat you. Well, they're not a poverty franchise anymore. Packers, Raiders, yeah, but they're in the AFC. I think we've just got Raiders and Texans fans in there, I suppose. Keep the comments coming. Who will the Cowboys lose to in round one next season? Super chat time. Elijah Williams says this just screams Jason Garrett 2.0. Spot the lie. Tell me why the end result's going to be different, Jerry. Tell me. Tell me why it's going to be different. I don't see how it's going to be. There's just no way that this is going to work. Pug Races, Classic Jerry, we like our guys. How are you going to get better? How? JBoot83 says, Keep McCarthy shows Jerry Jones doesn't care about winning. He cares about being competitive. And you fire Mike, well, now your chances, you bring in the chance of being bad. And that's something Jerry doesn't want to do. Because he would rather have all these 11 and 12 win seasons in a row than make the conference championship game twice and have a rebuilding period. That's what he wants. Robert Clay Gig Services, draft Trotter or Cedric Jr., Parsons back linebacker. I will say I'm not putting Parsons back at Idle linebacker. I need him as a passer. You can deploy him there sometimes too. And I'm also not taking those guys in round one. I don't think you want to. You can find a good linebacker on day two. I feel pretty good about that one. You can deploy Parsons at linebacker sometimes, but all of a sudden your pass rush, maybe you don't feel so good about that, and that's more important too. Fernando Garcia, I guess Jerry doesn't have much time. Speech is BS, making a huge mistake for what? He's like he doesn't care. He doesn't have time to risk a rebuild. And I completely disagree with it, and it's playing it down the middle, and the gambler Jerry died 10 years ago. He is no longer there. He is no longer the guy that's going to take the risk and be aggressive and go all in. He's not. He has changed in his age, and he won't do it anymore, and it's frustrating. Nick Rios, rather have a Buck season with a different head coach than a 12-5 number 2 seed choke with McCarthy. It's embarrassing, honestly. The other part is, do you think you can would you have beaten Philadelphia? Man, the Eagles are maybe a bigger collapse than you are right now, and maybe you would have, but you weren't going to go anywhere in the end. You still would have run into the buzzsaw of San Francisco and Green Bay. You're not good enough right now. And that's unacceptable to me. From Wes, how are we going to get excited for this team next year? Not going to be a fun offseason into the season. I don't have an answer for you. Draft is there. Maybe they'll duel. Maybe they will do something. But my concern is they're just going to run it back. And why would we think that would work? Zach Taylor, this is bullshit. I'm done with this team. Haven't watched a game in the last 3 years. Only watch your watch parties, but that might change. Don't blame me. Blame the Joneses. I can't blame you, Zach. I totally get the frustration. Maybe a couple months in between now and free agency, and then a few months between the draft and the offseason and the preseason will get you guys back. But I get it. Because this is starting to border on the MLB season. Or the NBA regular season. Nobody cares. There's too many games. The games don't matter enough, and it's all about the postseason for this team. How do you get there? I don't see a path keeping McCarthy and keeping this team together. It's doing nothing and expecting different results. Christopher Tamara, the only thing that would give me hope is a big acquisition rebuild next year. The paths I have presented so far are either you go all in and you be aggressive, and that timeline might be 1 year, it might be 2 years, it might be 3 years, 4 years, whatever it looks like based on your results. And then you tear it down. Or you start the rebuild now. And I think being aggressive, by the way, does not mean keeping a lame duck head coach. You have to make a decision. You have to. You have enough sample size here. And if you want to win now, I think your best bet is a new head coach. Go get a Shanahan tree offensive coordinator. Restructure or just flat out, you're not going to like this next part, extend your quarterback and be aggressive in this little window and then tear it down. Or tear it down now. Either of those options are fine with me. Keeping Mike and doing a lame duck BS isn't fine with me. It's not. How is it going to work? We have no evidence outside of, I'm going to believe it's different this time, please, Jerry, that it's going to be different. It's ridiculous. For Mark, I'd rather, this is a doozy, pleasure myself with sandpaper while getting a prostate exam watching The View than put up with this. No words. Bill is there and you say no. Well, first off, Mark, Them's a lot of words, and they're very dark and very graphic. Also, I get it. Nick Marine Burnett, the Jones family sucks. I can't change the owner. We can all come up with a lot of different ideas of doing that, doing this at all the positions, all the coaching spots. The deep, dark concern we all have is it ain't going to change because of ownership. And you know what the worst part is? Steven isn't any better. Shit, he might be worse. Hunter, he has a lot of control these days. Jerry's the decider, but Steven has input. Hunter Medding, I don't want McCarthy back, but next year when we lose first round, then we aren't going to re-sign him, which is fine, but we can't change it, so no point in complaining. Got to look forward. Mature answer, I suppose. I don't feel like being mature. We'll look forward in the future. Why you guys are subscribed, after all. But I appreciate the super chat there. Honestly, it's a very, very mature way of looking at it. But I think it's also time to vent right now. Bird Stroll, nothing's going to change with the Joneses. I don't disagree. We've got 27, 8, whatever it is, years of evidence. It's not going to change. So, all right, more supers to come. Also, some more chances to vent. One-word reaction to keeping Mike McCarthy. I've already seen a bunch of FUs. We'll count that as one word, by the way. My one word is, I'm going to save my one word for it. I got a good one word. I prepped. All of this stuff is prepped. I've been ready for a day. I knew it was going to happen. Doesn't make me feel better about it. That's why Lance Dunbar is expected. The minute the mouthpiece over at the Dallas Morning News put it out, I was like, damn it. I was literally up for 2 hours late last night, just like staring in bed going, are they seriously going to do this again? It was just like a playoff game. It was just living over my traumas all over again. Boycott, dumb, Jones sucks, poop, insanity, dumb, nauseating, insanity, trash, dumb. Yeah, it's all negative. Don't blame you. Bird Stroll, that's going to change with the Joneses. Yeah, I agree. Rebuild says, yeah, you're right, Jerry. Linebackers are overrated. What a great GM we have. Top shelf. Not only, yes. Also, it's not as simple as that. And that's what's very frustrating, too. Because I honestly wish, and this is, maybe it's very, I don't know what the proper word to describe, the adjective for it is. I wish it was just one thing that killed you against the Packers. Like, I wish it was just your head coach / play caller. I wish it was just your quarterback. I wish it was just your receivers dropping some passes. Your inability to run the ball with your running backs effectively, as it's been for 3 years in a row now. Your inability to stop the run in the second half. Inability to stop Jordan Love. The blown cover assignments. The defensive scheme. Like, I wish it was just one thing. But it was all those things I just mentioned. And that's what really sucks. Because Jerry, we'll get to the quote eventually. Jerry says that they're close. But they weren't close in a playoff game against the 7 seed. So how close are you really? Seriously, how close are you? Brandon Brown, might just change my team. I will not be going anywhere. They got the claws in me. I'm Stockholm syndrome too far. But I won't be going anywhere. But I understand the frustration. I do. Chris B., Jerry can spin this however he wants, but I won't believe shit. I don't ever want to hear him say again how disappointed he is when the season ends. Chris is right. This is what they're asking for. Brandon R. says, let Dak go now. Lance time saves money. It really doesn't. You could try to post June 1 Dak, which would set you up with money now, still paying basically what you paid him this year in next year when he's off the books and this year when he's not on the team. So you're paying it for 2 more years. I will also point out that the mouthpiece, when they wrote they're going to keep McCarthy, they Lance is not an option. Tells me a lot. They're not even considering that angle at all. I would say, if you want to rebuild, that's your path. That is your path. Why are you keeping McCarthy if you're going to rebuild, though? So, and Jerry's statement says that they want to win now. If you want to win now, best path is still Dak. honestly by a pretty massive margin. And the issue is, it's very clear you still need more support, including from your coaching staff. So how is the coaching staff going to get better if it's the same staff? I don't know. Mighty Ant, if we don't spend in free agency and draft in number 2 linebacker, I think you mean 2 linebackers, do we count, serious question, do we count DeMarvion Overshown as one of those linebackers? Do we? That's kind of my mindset. If he does count, great, then you only need 1. If he doesn't count, you're still super thin, so you probably need to add you honestly probably need to add 3 or 4 this offseason. Now, not all of them are going to be high-end starter stuff, but you got to add depth there. That's not, former undrafted free agents and 4th-round picks who have been cut twice, Marks has let Dak play out his next years with a new coach. If he excels, pay him. If he sucks, let him go, all while developing Lance. JJ is nuts. I'm done. I actually might meet you halfway on this one because Dak only has 1 year left on his deal. What you could do, though, is do a shorter-term extension once you fire Mike next year because come on. Come on. This is not going to work. And then if it's great. And then you can keep developing Lance in the background. I also might just go with if it doesn't work, just blow it all up. I don't know if Jerry ever would, but this is fine with me. This is a fine plan. I have no faith in the Cowboys doing a plan, period. Chris Shiesty. So no Belichick. Hope Jerry loads up in free agency. Guess what he's not going to do? They don't sign shit in free agency. JBoot83. JJ should stop lying and just say so. Money is all it is. At least we could respect the truth. All man has is his word, SMH. Robert Huerta. You can go after a linebacker coach from San Francisco or Baltimore coming defensive coordinator. So, Robert, great idea. Love it. You got 2 of the best defenses out there, the San Francisco and the Ravens. You're thinking smartly. If you are those coaches and you're like, I get to be a defensive coordinator, why would you go do it for a lame duck head coach? And that's the root of my issue. If this was year 3 McCarthy, even year 4, I could get more on board with it. But everybody knows there is no hotter seat in America than Mike McCarthy for the next 6, 7, 8 months, 12 months. There's no hotter seat. You want to get in on that? I don't want to. I wouldn't want to. So you ain't getting the top options. You're just not. And if you're not getting the top options, and you're settling, then why is Mike back? That's what it's going to keep coming back to me on this show. Ecuador man, so same crap, different results. What bullshit? It's the same results, actually, I would argue. D Knight, yen? I don't know what that currency is. LMFAO, not watching another Mike McDonald season. Well, Mike McDonald's a good Ravens defensive coordinator. I think he's making a McDonald's joke, which is very funny. Chris B, watch, they will sign a decent name in free agency, draft a receiver in the first round to try to pull the fans in. It will not pull me in at all. Clown show. You know what? It would probably work for me. I'd be excited if they did something. I'm still going to hope they do stuff. I'm going to advocate for it. I'll have a better plan than every year of my life than the Jones boys will. And put it in a video. Joe Aragon, absolute joke. Worst don't want to be aggressive. It's the same old thing. I'm glad it's months away because I don't know if I can do this, man. We all need a mental health vacation from our sports team. And that's kind of sad. Kai Cleaver, sign Dak, but not top-tier money. Sign Cooks, get rid of Gallup. Receiver group should be fine with Tolbert at the 3. Rebuild O-line, Parsons' 5th year. So Cooks is under contract. So you actually don't have to sign him. He's actually fairly cheap, by the way. On board with Gallup, on board with the O-line. Parsons has the 4th year and the 5th year, so no urgency there. In fact, he's only just now eligible to even sign an extension. So slight details off a little bit there, but yeah, that works for me. Chris B, next year will be in the same, so looking for a head coach. Yeah. And on top of that, if you don't extend your quarterback, he's going to be a free agent. And then what do? Are you winning a bidding war for him? That's going to be hella expensive? Were the results the same? In which case it's like, ooh, what do we do? Do you lose the top 10 quarterback for a third-round pick and then start your rebuild? Or do you just get it over with now? And if you're going to do it now, why is Mike back? And if you're going to be aggressive, you got to make the cap space, and you have to free up the ability to go do stuff. Well, then you got to take care of the quarterback contract. You're setting yourself up for failure again. From Mark, only they keep Coach Tubby, as if JJ called every other guy, and they all said, no, you're a control freak, and he has no other options. How mad are you, Tom? I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I came to terms with this last night, frankly. If you watch the video this morning, you might have been able to see quite a bit of it, the frustration there. It's just dumb. Well, you know what the issue is? I'm tired. That's what I am tired. I am tired of being the same damn shit every year. Different head coach, different OC, different DC. Well, maybe Mike Nolan is even worse. Different quarterbacks when healthy. Different running backs, different O-lines, different defensive superstars, different Hall of Fame borderline pass rusher. It's all the same. It does not change. And you need change right now. And the solution is we're going to try it again. Doesn't make sense to me. Joe Ramirez, wife of the Cowboys playoff runs remind her of our wedding night, short and disappointing. Damn dog. Sorry. It's not great for you, Trout. Rex MD. Tyler Evans says trade Dak for a first. Let's Lance take over. Draft running back and Malvin. Who's in Malvin? Malvin? I don't know what that is. We won 3 straight. It's 12-5. Better than 8-8 Clapper. Let Lance cook. This is your rebuilding path. And that's fine. If you want to rebuild, this is how you do it. I will say, I don't think Lance this is how we're going to win now is a realistic solution. Guy's barely played in 2 years. Outside of Dak and Kirk Cousins, every 4th-round pick investment at quarterback has been a backup at best. And that's what you have to think of Lance as. Could be a nice backup for you, but I really don't believe, especially with what Mike McCarthy wants to do on offense, I don't see how Lance fits at all. Their styles don't mesh. And I would have a lot of doubts on that front. GSP Phoenix Range. Jerry Jones does not want to win. He does not want to win a Super Bowl. And it shows should have made moves during the trade deadline and fire Mike. Senile. Wish it was that simple. Well, maybe we're doing it a little bit, but at least try, right? Do something. Every free agency. They sold us hey, we went out, we traded for Gilmore and Cooks. And those moves helped you in a nice way. They then signed a long snapper, a running back who got cut, didn't even play for you, and your 6th offensive lineman, who frankly was really your 7th best offensive lineman. And they said, deadline, well, we made our moves for trades in free agency. You can't have it both ways, Jerry. You can't make one move and say it fills 2 things. That's not how math works. Mark, so many good options, and we keep this dick. It's 8:51 Eastern, so Olivia's asleep. I can now. It's after dark in the end here. Lance Dunbar's burner. Does this mean we're almost certainly keeping Dak? As upsetting as it is, Mike and Dak work well together. Dak seems to like Big Mike. Nothing you said is wrong. I would also say this. Dak like Garrett. Dak like Kellen Moore. Dak's an easy guy to get along with. Dak had a great year. Make no mistake about it. I've seen that this offense average 30 points a game over it, including the bad playoff results, in the past 3 years with a healthy Dak. And he did it with 2 different coordinators and play callers, which my conclusion is, okay, that's a quarterback thing, not an offensive coaching thing. It's more of a player result. So, it is upsetting. You'll still be a playoff team, but I don't want to settle for that. I really don't. I really don't want to settle for that. I just need more. I'm tired of having great, regular seasons, then January coming around, and it's just heartbreak. I can't do it anymore. Clinton Bach, Only will watch if they go down the Rams Super Bowl route. If they make moves, wouldn't that be nice? Unlikely. Consistency cost Jerry $85 million. Should fire him. I don't know what the $85 million is referring to. Maybe it was a home playoff game. Ticket sales would make a lot of sense, actually. Money Mitch Mob. Giants, economy's going to get better. Green Bay's going to be a problem. Niners aren't going anywhere. Windows moving fast, and Jerry wants to run it back. There you go. Michael, does Dak get the boot/rebuild need postseason wins? Absolutely right. My guess is they don't. I would rather give him the boot than just say we're going to do the exact same thing. It's not going to work. He's a very good quarterback. Make no mistake about it. But we've seen it time and time again. He can't overcome when everything else is also bad. And there's only a couple guys that can. But I've seen it in other playoff losses too. The other time against Green Bay, against the Rams, actually played pretty well in those games. Terry's a dog shit half against the Packers. Entire team did. Defense literally never woke up. Frankly, from a winning games next year perspective only, I'm more worried about the defense. Because this so-called elite defense has allowed nearly 30 points per game against average to above average offenses. They're above 15th in EPA play. They're allowing damn near 30. I can't win. We're right back where we were at the end of the Garrett era. We're right back there. Time's a damn flat circle. And how you can get a better defensive coach in if you're keeping a lame duck head coach? Andrew, taking applications to be a fan of a new team. Who should that team be? It's more exciting to be a Lions fan right now than the Cowboys. Sure, someone will take you. Chris B, problem is, want to go all in with a lame duck coach on a one-year deal. If it fails next year, then who you want to take on that mess? Jesus Christ. Exactly. That's why it doesn't make sense to do it that way. I said it on one of our earlier videos this week. You have two options. Two, good options. Go all in right now, which I don't really want to do with the lame duck coach. It's a bad idea. Or even just be more aggressive with a coach with a new contract. No one in this audience wants to extend Mike. No one. Maybe somebody does. I don't see anyone wanting to do it. So the other option is then to rebuild. And if you're rebuilding, why are you keeping Mike? And if you're going all in, why are you doing a lame duck year with Mike? Both options say, no. What are you going to do? Adwin, I wanted Mike Tomlin, our young coach, but this just seemed to limp into the postseason with no change and the same, if not worse, narratives. I know it's going to happen. You'll blow out some shit teams. You'll win some games against good teams. You've actually done that a couple each time. You'll have a just god-awful clunker game randomly against the shit team. You'll probably win 10, 11 games, somewhere in that range. You'll probably be the wild card. The NFC's curse is real. And you'll get trounced in the postseason. And that's that. Chris B, Jerry's statement he put out is laughable. Let's go to that one. Let's go to that statement here. Yeah. By the way, I actually have not read it in full yet. Because it came in right as I was getting it all set up here. It says, quote, Jerry says on the statement, I believe this team is very close. Wow, we are off to a terrible start. And capable of achieving our ultimate goals. And the best step forward for us will be with Mike McCarthy as our head coach. Specifically, there are many layers of success that have occurred this season as a result of Mike's approach to leading the team, both with individual players and with our team collectively. Mike has the highest regular season winning percentage of any head coach in Cowboys history, and we will dedicate ourselves in partnership with him to translating that into reaching our postseason goals. Certainly, Mike's career has demonstrated postseason success at a high level, and we have great faith that can continue. That hasn't happened here. Anyway, further, our loss on it was shared by everyone here, not just McCarthy. That is true. When it's everybody, I think it's a coaching issue. Our front office, myself, there is accountability. No, there's not. There's no accountability. You got players on Twitter saying, I got time today. No shit, you're out of the playoffs. The lens we use to view and evaluate Coach McCarthy is holistic. While we're all disappointed with our playoff record, I am 100% supportive of him as our head coach and ability to reach our goals. We will start our process of review and decision making regarding everything that impacts our team and roster, and while we're not going to address specific players and extensions or free agents at this point, it deserves our deepest review and consideration, and it will get it. Okay. Geraldo Neary, the Jones don't care about their fans. Hopefully, they'll get to see a Cowboys Super Bowl in my lifetime. Shout out to you, Tom. Cheers. You'd be a better head coach. Cheers, Geraldo. Sorry, tonight sucks, guys. Belichick and Harbaugh didn't want the job. Okay. That's 2 of like the 6 coaches you could have hired. By the way, genuinely, I don't think Jerry reached out to them. I don't think it happened. Fernando Garcia. I feel they're going to change a low coach, like a running back coach, O-line coach, and sell the idea of change, and that was the problem. I think Fernando's right. Which, by the way, I do think you need to do. I think if you're really being smart here, you have to go find someone that can get you a competent run game. It wasn't just the players in the ground game. They kept doing that inside tight zone bullshit for no gain over and over and over. There's a lot of philosophical stuff that was wrong with that. Gangsta Big Chungus, since Big as a Barn, Mike McCarthy is staying, we cannot keep Dan Quinn. This is also part of my overall problem. Head coach is the big thing, right? Who's your new DC? I have no complaints about going, Dan Quinn, he might not be the guy. That's fine. I get it. That defense was a bigger problem down the stretch this year than anything else was. I would argue even by far, outside of 2 games, frankly. But who are you going to get? What coach is going to go, man, you know what I want to do? I want to go work for the coach with the hottest seat in America. The president is going to be under less pressure than Mike McCarthy this season. The boss. I'm like many of us, been a Cowboy fan all my life. I'll be honest, I can't get to this insanity. We have several things to fix. Don't see a way out. Can't say I disagree with you, and that's also very frustrating. Ecuador man, been infected with this team since '88. I am cursed. Stockholm Syndrome. Youngin D1 something. Division games, NFC South, AFC North, Texans, 2 other NFC division winners. Give me a record, Tom. 10 wins. Playoff berth. Come up short. Probably be the number 3 scoring offense again, or somewhere in that range. 3 years in a row. What they've been. Nick, get someone new to call the plays. Don't disagree. If you don't want your head coach calling a play, being the play caller, when he just took it over, why is he here? What is he going to do? Still find ways to fuck up clock management? I agree with Nick. We are already past that point. It's too late. Mike's not going to let anybody else do it. No way. Hunter Medding. Best chance we got with Mike is to say F it and build a super team that can win with also an elite center. It's probably what our ring is missing. It's a big factor. The center spot is missing. Pretty decent draft class, by the way. But that guy's not going to be elite in year 1. Do consider that. From Wes, only going to turn to the watch parties next year. Can't deal with this BS. And do we keep the whole staff because the defense in big games was ass? What does Dak's deal look like? Extension-wise, I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, we're based, like, honestly, and you guys aren't going to like it, but honestly, he has all the control still. He has a no-trade clause and a no-tag clause. So if Dak wants to say, wow, you guys are trying to screw me, you're putting me as the scapegoat, he can just play it out, and somebody will pay him. Somebody will. Because there are a lot of teams that would rather have Dak than their current quarterback. Not saying it's going to be enough, but there's a lot of GMs who feel more desperation than yours does. And they'll be like, oh, shit, this can be our Stafford. Like, genuinely, right now, if I were the Falcons, if I were the Dolphins, if I were Denver, who I got a story on that, by the way, I might have to tell it, Chris. If you were one of those teams, you'd be like, let's try to trade for him. Like, we can go further because our team and coaching staff is better. It's no different than when the Rams got Stafford from the Lions, who had zero playoff success. In part, Stafford was a little up and down at times. He was obviously more physically talented. But then he goes to LA and the Rams, and the success is great. The defense is a huge issue. I agree. So is someone going to hire Dan Quinn after that? After that performance? That defense only got stops once the Packers quit. Ugh. Chris P., watch we start 2-4 next year and the Clowns fire him. What a great way to waste a season. Honestly, if you're bringing back Mike, he has to have the year until you're out of the playoff race. He has to. Because who's going to be your interim? Be Brian Schottenheimer? Come on. Mark Roberts, get a new DC, revamp defensive player personnel. Again, I don't disagree. What DC is going to want to come be the guy under the hottest seat in America? That is a losing effort. Because even if your defense is good, that's still the same old Cowboys. They're going to go one and done, and Mike's going to get fired. And then you're out of a job. That's not a fun spot to be in. Lawrence Jewell. Makes me wish we lost the Detroit game. Maybe then would Jerry have seen how horrible McCarthy is. That win overshadowed McCarthy being a complete... where did it go? What's the other word there, Chris? Moron. No, I should have said, what's the final word? Weigh in. And they tried to give that game away, too. Refs did as well, but... Nate Snyder, I'm floored. Jerry. Runs back with the same coach. Makes me wonder what Jerry thinks the main problem is. I would love to ask Jerry, hey, Jerry, what do you think the main problem is right now? Like, what do you think it is? Because I really would like to know what his answer, because I don't know what it would be. It's a really good question. Dwayne Porter, embrace the fact that McCarthy will give McCarthy an extension. He's going to extend Dak. Catboy won't let me down. What a joke. The idea of extending McCarthy just doesn't make any sense to me. I fear you're right. But rebuild. Jerry would never admit the problem with the jackass organization. It would force me to do with the man in the mirror. Probably right. Jeff C. with McCarthy and how to fix Dak in big moments. It's the big issue here for me. And you guys are going to get mad at me, but whatever. I'm right. It's not even just Dak. Like, you can go back to both the really bad interceptions. And a perfect throw saves your issues. Make no mistake. Brandon Cooks gets bullied on a fairly mediocre route. And I don't even think it was PI. Like, I don't even think it was. He got bullied. The deep ball to Cooks, he didn't find it. It lands 2 feet in front of him. He could have caught it. Didn't see it for whatever reason. You run the same triple slant. That triple slant play, by the way, it was the same issue on one of the picks against us. Kurt Warner did a great breakdown on it. You're doing slants at the same depth, at the same timing, so you're not actually forcing the defender to make a decision. And you're doing a play action, so the ball is a half second late because no matter what, it's going to be late. And Dak does not have a Rodgers arm to fire it in there. And the safety gets to just jump the route. Because Dak has to telegraph it before the defender has to make a decision. And you could have even had, in this game in particular, you could have had a Jags-Chargers comeback game. If your defense could have done anything. Anything. Like, who here has faith, if the Cowboys have even a single Dak interception in the postseason, of this team being able to overcome that and win? I don't. I saw Brady throw 3 picks in a playoff game and win. I saw Lawrence throw 4. It's a team sport. Seen Dak make big comeback moments. I'm very annoyed it's been the same thing over and over again. Doesn't make it. I also saw this coaching staff go, hey, we had all this success airing it out. let's run the football. They threw their second down pass, came with under a minute to go when it was 27-0. So what did we expect was going to happen? Like, if I had told you that, you would have went, oh my God, we didn't throw a single second pass, we're running the ball again? Yep, you're right. Oh, I thought it would have been, but CJ, today's my 50th birthday. Type in BD, because it's not an HBD. Worst birthday present ever. Beyond that, I'm out. I'm not watching next season. This is pure BS. They don't care about championships. CJ, I'm sorry you had a bad birthday, my friend. I truly am. Cam, Jones fans owe every fan $10K for their troubles. Add a 0. Rebuild. Different head coach, different quarterback, different DC, different OC, same jackass in the middle. 3 decades of Jerry the Jackass. There you go. Michael, does this mean we can run back the Texas coach? Can't run a tic-tac through Lincoln Tunnel offensive? Never been a playoff-level defense without a run game. It's been an issue for 3 years in a row, by the way. Your running backs are averaging like 3.6 or something. Yards through 3.4 or something. I got the exact numbers written down. Yards per carry in your losses the past 3 years. Can't win games like that. And you're trying to run the ball, too, is the worst part. Juan Sanchez, Lance is not the answer. Shanahan said no to him. Lance, on a superior roster, looked worse than Dak's ever looked. Not wrong. You're hoping the change of scenery helps things, but that needs time. Chris B., you think they're considering Dak on that $60 million hit? If they're considering keeping Dak on the $60 million hit, you are screwed. There is no quarterback alive that can have success on a 16, like what the success we want. You might be able to make the playoffs still, maybe, but you're not going to have, that's too much money. Like, that's why you need to make a decision, because you can't keep him. If you're going to keep him, you should kick him off the roster and rebuild. You're still probably going to win like 8, 9, 10 games. Start the rebuild now if you're going to do that. You can't keep him at that figure. That's not setting anyone up for success. It's just delaying the inevitable in fairly embarrassing fashion. Albert Branch is the D coordinator. Joe Witt or Al Harris? I think it's Joe Witt. But if it came down to that, like, other guy's going to fix things. Epic Redbeard, a guy living in Kansas, hearing all the KC fans give me crap being a Cowboys fan. It's hard to be a Cowboys fan right now. Ride out Dak's contract and burn it all to the ground in 2025. Start it now. Why wait? Get it going. There's no reason to ride out the contract. Just trade him or cut him if he plays really hardball and says, F you, I'm not doing that. Just start it now. Or you're just delaying the inevitable. He'll win you 7, 8, 9, 10 games. Now you're hurting your draft pick, and you're still a year behind. Chris B., let's go Chiefs to actually win. LOL, JK. Hawkeyes, McCarthy coach of the year. World officially coming to an end. The world coming to an end. Yeah, I get it. Adwin, same narratives for another year. No real changes, and it's painful to watch for me. Jerry got to go. Let this man go. Mike's got to go. Take Dan Quinn with you. There's been a lot of truth in these super chats tonight. Not Jeremy Chuggs' burner. If you were Micah or CD, why would you resign? Money talks eventually. You know they're going to play hardball with these dudes. These dudes should be the highest paid players at their position, and they're going to do some low ball bullshit on them. And they'll drag it out, and they'll use the fifth-year option, and instead of being able to backload stuff, they'll have to pay a premium, and they'll mess it up like they do every single time, except the year they got Tyron Smith with no agent into the room and got him to sign the most team-friendly deal in human history. Mark, do people realize these big points where Wolves teams have worked the worst defense? We had the 30th ranked strength schedule. It's an illusion. It's also been that way for 3 years, though. Not all bad defenses in there either. Jason Garrett. Prove to me that this isn't Jeremy Chuggs' account. Prove to me it's not. Great move. Clap emoji. Neil, $2. I appreciate that. Mark says I described the team's record perfectly, Tom. Same, but different. What the GIF is. Brandon J, we play the NFC North next year, first place schedule. We're going to get our asses whooped, and I'm here for it. No longer will I let this team get to me. You say that now. Check it again when they got 8 or 9 wins in December. Hope's a dangerous thing. Hope's dangerous. Zach Taylor. The layer of success that's missing is the most important one. Jerry. Agreed. Al Walton. Can we at least incorporate some Shanahan people? This is what I would have done. Like if you were going to fire, if you're going to fire Mike and hire Vrabel or Belichick, I would have said, hey, great. I think they can help you out on defense as an overall head coach. Go throw money at one of the Shanahan-McVay coaching tree guys and say, come call our plays. Because that would have worked. Because what I will give Mike credit for it. They took elements this year of the Shanahan stuff. They were doing all that fun motion that they stopped doing, by the way, in the playoffs. God knows why. But they were doing all those things. And then they stopped it. And it was working too. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, remember how often they ran that, I call it the cheat motion play? They start one guy in the slot and send him out wide and straight downfield. They just didn't do it against the Packers until late in the game. Why? I'm kind of convinced, the players will never admit it, that that entire team just didn't look confident out there. I don't think they had confidence in the game plan on either side of the ball. Like you saw Jane's report of some stubbornness. I think they went right back to the stubborn things on both sides of the ball. Al's right. They're not going to. Because who wants to come on board with Mike right now? This is you are the guy in charge of, hey, the people on the Titanic are lonely. Can you go give them some company? Why would you do that? You know how it's going to end. You think you can find a life jacket that they missed? They're in trouble. Confidence level in the Cowboys right now, 1 to 10 is your scale. Let's start the cut here. We should probably get to that one a little bit here. I will remember that. Where are we at? We are at Corey Weeks' super chat. So, Corey, everyone else, we will get to your supers here in a little bit. We'll might as well do a mailbag cut too, because why not? Not as part of it. I guess we can do the mailbag cut with the supers in there, and then just hit the rest of them. But we'll do like the news cut for people who aren't live, and there are probably people who went to bed early or whatever, or are on the West Coast at work, locked in a meeting, and they're going to go, "Oh my God, we're screwed," type of deal. We can go full screen to start, though. I think it's better intro there. But good looks. So we'll do our recapping all the news. I will rant as part of this, by the way. I'm surprised we have some high numbers here. Like that's kind of shocking to me. Anyway, confidence level of the Cowboys right now, scale it for me from 1 to 10. You're watching the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, an unhappy camper tonight, as the Dallas Cowboys have announced that they will not be making a head coaching change this offseason. Mike McCarthy will stay as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. They won the NFC East title. They had the 2 seed. You were like, man, if you're going to make the run, this is such a good chance to do it. And you got embarrassed against the Green Bay Packers. They laid a colossal egg. Everything went wrong. They didn't play well on offense, defense, special teams. I had said going into the week, look, I don't want to do the whole head coaching church stuff change. They're not considering it. If they get blown out, we can revisit that whole conversation. Well, they got it blown out and embarrassed, and the end result was, we're just going to roll with it. We think we're close. We are doing this part of our live show. We went live for this news because we were prepped and prepared for it. When news happens, we have you guys covered. Hit that sub button for more free Cowboys videos right here on the channel, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. So McCarthy's career so far in Dallas. Had the bad 2020 campaign. You lost all your guys to injuries. And since then, 3 years with 12 straight wins. And make no mistake, that's really impressive. There has been no coach, as far as I can tell, who has been fired after 3 straight 12-win seasons. In a bubble, you'd kind of be insane to fire Mike McCarthy. He has the best winning percentage, as Jerry Jones has said in his quote, we'll get to it later on in today's show, in Cowboys history. But I don't really care about that. I don't really care about how good you are in November and December. I care about what you can do in January. And for the past, all of these years on screen, you haven't been good enough in January. And you keep not making the type of major change you need. You haven't done a real coaching search since Wade Phillips. It has been 18 years since you did a real coaching search, and now it's going to be 19 at minimum. And my issue with Mike is, it wasn't just the offense, wasn't just the quarterback, wasn't just the receiving core, your bad offensive line, the back of the bad backfield that can't run the ball consistently, the defense being unable to cover, blowing coverages left and right, the run defense being poor as hell. It was all of it. And when it's all of it in the biggest game of the year, I believe that is a coaching issue. Here's what Jerry Jones' statement said. A lot of issues with this. It's like Festivus all over again. I believe this team is very close and capable of achieving our ultimate goals, and the best step forward for us will be with Mike McCarthy as our head coach. You're not close, by the way. So there are many layers of success that have occurred this season as a result of Mike's approach to leading the team, both with individual players and with our team collectively. Mike has the highest regular season winning percentage of any head coach in Cowboys history, and we'll dedicate ourselves in partnership with him to translating that into reaching our postseason goals. Certainly, Mike's career has demonstrated postseason success at a high level, and we have great confidence that can continue, which it hasn't happened in Dallas. Further, our loss on Sunday is shared by everyone here, not just Coach McCarthy, our front office, myself. There is accountability for our results. No, there's not. The lens we use to view and evaluate Coach McCarthy is holistic. While we're disappointed with our playoff record, I am 100% supportive of him as our head coach and ability to reach our goals. We will start our process of review and decision-making regarding everything that impacts our team and roster, and while we're not going to address specific players and extensions for free agents at this point, it deserves our deepest review and consideration, and it will get it. One note, by the way, if Jerry believed that, he'd extend Mike. If he has 100% belief, he'd extend him. He's not going to, because why the hell would he? Are the Cowboys right to keep Mike McCarthy? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and sound off for me in the comment section at the pinned comment of today's video right now. Look, you've had great regular season success and constant playoff pain. And I just can't keep doing this. I'm tired of this. I am tired of it being something different every single year, no matter who the head coach is, who the quarterback is. Like, we can be honest here. I think you could put out an offense that features Justin Jefferson, Patrick Mahomes, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, a top 5 offensive line, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey. I think you were losing that game because your game plan was terrible and your defense never showed up. I can't get on board with this move. I have no faith right now in Mike McCarthy. How can you? If you disagree with me, please tell me. Because I can't get on board here. I fear the Cowboys have reached their ceiling. And that's not even just unique to Mike. There's plenty of different elements of this team I feel that way about. And to be fair, the odds of things getting worse before they got better if you fired Mike are frankly pretty high. You're 12-win team 3 years in a row. It's hard. It's almost impossible to do that. It's also almost impossible to constantly lose this many playoff games. But I don't believe that running it back is going to work. I really hope I'm wrong. Make no mistake. I really hope I am. But I have seen this McCarthy team. I saw it with Garrett too. When things get important, when it's a playoff game or a game against the better team or a tricky road game environment, they coach scared. Like, they go into, don't make mistakes mode, which guess what happens? When they're coaching not to lose, and you end up losing. I don't know how that's going to change. Because you still need change. how are you going to get change if the same guy is still in charge? Goes for the owner, by the way, as well. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. I think next year I'm just going to take the less than on every single Cowboys playoff one because they're going to go one and done again. They'll make it. They're going to go one and done again. Here are my prize picks for the Niners-Packers, by the way. Give me more than Brock Purdy passing yards. He might cook them. That Packers defense is not that good. The offense finally realized that when it was too late. George Kittle, more than receiving yards because Jake Ferguson actually showed up pretty well. Aaron Jones, less than rushing yards against the good Niners defense. Again, it's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. I wish it were as simple even. Like, even if you fire Mike, or fired Mike, I wish it was as simple as one solution to fixing this team. I wish it was, if you fire the head coach, guaranteed success. Dump the quarterback, guaranteed success. It's been this way for damn near 30 years now, basically my entire life. And it's always the same thing. This game against the Packers reminded me so much of the Vikings divisional round playoff loss. You had all these All-Pros, all these Pro Bowlers, and you got ran over. And it wasn't even close. That game actually ended up being even less close than the one you played because of, you got going in garbage time. I wish it were as simple as I'm going to do this thing and it's all going to be fixed. You need real change to get that. You can't just keep tweaking things. You can't keep doing, three-card Monty, whatever it is, and you got, the ball's under the cup, and you move the cup just in circles over and over again. But the ball is in the center cup. It doesn't move. Or you're playing 21, and you forgot to put all of the face cards in. And you keep hoping to get 21, and you're banking on a 10, and there's no ace in the deck. That doesn't make any sense. You have to have real change at some point. And the path this Cowboys team is on is right down the middle. It's not going to be the aggressive change you need to win right now. It's not going to be the rebuild to set you up for winning in the future. It's just going to be more of the same. And you'll win 9 to 10 games. You'll blow out a bunch of bad teams. We'll enjoy it in the moment. You'll lay an egg against some terrible team because you just constantly do it every single year. You'll go 2-4 against the playoff teams you face in the regular season, and then you'll lose in the first round of the postseason again. What's going to happen? And that's not the worst spot to be. But if you're never going to get to where we need to be, what's the point? What's the point at that stage? So, by the way, to be clear, I hope I am wrong. I would love nothing more than for someone to clip the entire show and at Freezing Cold Takes. I'll do it myself. Hope that is the case. I have no faith right now. What's your one-word reaction to keeping Mike McCarthy? One word only. Sound off for me in the comment section with what that, I think you have to do PC language, but what that one word is. My one word is static. It's not change. Your head coach loves static offenses, by the way. You can go back and watch. I did, and I hate myself for it. They went right back into the, we're going to run the ball on 2nd and 10. You threw your second down pass came with under a minute to go in the half. How? You stopped the motion. I gave Mike so much credit midseason for changing his offense. And being like, this is not working. Let's steal from the Shanahan tree. And they didn't do it again. So what are you going to do? You're not making the change this year. You'll probably average 30 points a game again on offense or close to it. You'll be a top 4 offense. I got bigger worries about your defense here, but by the way. But you got to start making decisions here. This is not a decision. This is kicking the can down the road. That's all this is. This is going, all right, let's just see what happens. It's the definition of insanity all over again. And now you got bigger questions. Well, I guess bigger because now the big one is decided. What are you going to do with Dak? You can't have him on a $60 million cap hit. You cannot do it. You can't win that way. Even with you could put prime Brady, Mahomes, Manning combined into some Super Saiyan quarterback, and you can't win that way. Team's not good enough. So are you going to extend him? It's the best path to winning now. You guys aren't going to like that, and I get it. You're going to just restructure him because you're delaying the inevitable. Your best path, I thought, was to fire Mike, go get a new coach, go do the Shanahan stuff on offense that clearly works really well, and overhaul the defense and go be aggressive for 4 years. If it doesn't work, actually rebuild. This is the same thing you keep doing of being, well, next year will be different. What are you going to do with defensive coordinator, by the way? Like, we've had so many supers saying, go get a new DC. I get it. I agree. Who wants to join this situation? Who wants to join a lame duck head coach? You're not going to extend Mike. I'd be blown away if they did. Can at least make a better pitch for a DC if you did, I guess, but not a good idea. Like, none of this makes sense. Like, what defensive coordinator is going to want to come join Mike McCarthy, who will be on the hottest seat in America? No job is going to be under more scrutiny than this job in Dallas. Every week it's going to be, fire Mike? It was kind of that this year already. It's going to be even worse now. It might be a hotter seat than the president is where we're going to be at. Who wants that job? Nobody. Nobody wants that job. What is your confidence level right now in the Cowboys having success as we move forward? At least, let's just say short term. Because, 10 years from now is fairy tale times. It could be anything. It could be a boat. 1 to 10 is your scale. Go vote in the comments. The real issue, one that I can't fix, is ownership. You've got two constants on this team in your 26, 7-year-long drought it is. Your owner, also Rowdy, who I hate with a passion. He's a plague, but I digress. I can't get ownership to change itself. And what the problem is ownership did change itself. Jerry the gambler, Jerry the splash guy, Jerry the constant media narrative of Jerry loves to make a splash. When was the last time he did that? Hasn't made a real free agency signing since Brandon Carr, and that was like a decade ago. And they thought it was so bad they were scared of it. They all make spots in the draft. No, you don't. You might sit there and get lucky with Lamb and just be smart. They interviewed 2 people when they hired Mike. 2 people. Come on. That's just dumb. I would. You give me 10 years. You give me 10 years, I guarantee I could win a championship for the Dallas Cowboys. If I didn't, I'd sell the team. But that's not going to happen. And the root cause of all your issues, all the way up, it's how leadership works. The leadership's bad. If the owner ain't tripping, we don't care. Owner's still not tripping all these years later. Are the Cowboys or the QB McCarthy? Y for yes, N for no. Y for yes, N for no. I answer a resounding no. Mike said all these good quarterbacks. Anything. You guys can be mad at that. It's totally fine. I get it. It's fine. But team's good, right? Like, we were all in agreement. Yeah, these guys should be all pros. We saw the things that worked well. They didn't do them. It's 2 playoff runs in a row. This entire team comes out and just looks like they're not ready. And I don't know how that happens. It's a coaching issue. Where are you ranking Mike McCarthy among head coaches right now? Where are you ranking him? 15th-ish? How you gonna win? How do you win playoff games with a 15th ranked head coach? How's that gonna work? Y for yes, 10 for no. See, maybe 25. Cam says top 10. I can't get on board with that one. I'm also not putting him at 32, frankly. But you need more than that. You need more than that. You really do. All right, what's coming up next? We'll just go in the mailbag cut here. We have more than enough supers to do that. We'll do a 12-ish. You don't even need to go to that one. You can just go to one, Chris. Do a 12-ish, 13-ish minute mailbag cut here, answering all your supers we're way behind on. We will stay live tonight as long as the supers are coming in. So however many we get, we'll stay live. Kids asleep already, so I got nothing else to do tonight. So you guys can get your supers in. They can be mean. Again, I will take responsibility. If you want to blame me, that's fine. Jerry won't. I will. Mailbag time here coming up on the Cowboys Report. This is a Cowboys Report mailbag as we deal with the fallout from the Jerry Jones keeping Mike McCarthy decision. Corey says, I kind of want to see them rebuild this team. And I think this would have been, you're kind of, I think, too far late now, a better path than just running it back. I thought your real good options here were go aggressive with a new contract at head coach. I would argue is not Mike, because he wants to extend Mike right now. And then your best option at quarterback is Dak. I'm sorry if you don't like that. It is the truth. And go be aggressive for a 2 to 5, 2 to 4, whatever it looks like window. If you win, great. Keep doing it. If not, then you tear it down. At some point, you have to rebuild. You have to. And that's how football works. Everyone does it eventually. And if you want to go with if you wanted to go with the rebuild path, I get it. I would have been on board with it. I think it's a better path than this stay the course, do nothing path they seem to be on right now. Earl Arbogast, we go 16-0 next season and lose first round again. This is the worst timeline. You wouldn't get to be in the first round, but divisional round, first playoff game. It's the worst timeline. Kinetic, 3-12-5 seasons, 1 ring, appendix surgery, respect Mike McCarthy. I'm not saying he's a bad coach, to be clear. But it's not going to work. Now, he still can't manage the clock right. Been a head coach for how long now? To be fair, a few of them actually can. He still wants to run the ball on 2nd and 10. He still wants to not use motion. So I'm not saying he's a bad coach. Just not good enough. I'm not being personal in my attacks. Like, frankly, some are. Rebuild. We aren't asking for much, Jerry. No more post-game pressers. No more rambling on the radio. In fact, no more media for you. Own, manage, and shut up. He can't. Steven can't either, by the way. That's why it's never going to get any better. King Bonzo. Ferguson was only saving grace for me this season. Fergie was really good. Lamb was really good. He had a bunch of really, really good players in the regular season. And Ferguson, I think, on offense was one of the guys who showed up throughout. And also why I don't understand why you didn't feed him the entire game. Because we said Bill game. They're bad over the middle. Seam balls to Ferguson. And they weren't calling that play. It just doesn't make sense to me. Massive Matt, no way, bro. I'm so over this team. I get it. I get the frustration and pain and everything that comes along with it. Because right now, I can't trust this team. I don't think many of you watching trust this team right now for frankly, several different reasons. But do you trust the Cowboys right now? And none of that. You have to get further than they have in 30 years for you to ever trust them again. There's no belief in this team, and frankly, nor should there be. But you guys can vote in the pinned comment. Y for yes, you do. N for no, you do not. Travis Smitty, not going to games or merch. They will make bigger mistakes next year than when we sign Dak to a huge contract. Honestly, you shouldn't even want to, if you're going to pay Dak, you can't wait to next year. He's going to be a free agent. It's going to be a bidding war that you have to win to keep him. That's not a path I want to go down. Honestly, if you don't pay Dak this offseason, you should just move on now. You're not going to be in good enough shape. You're just not going to be. Other teams probably will be. You won't be. Ryan Nelson, Tom, we have to admit Dak has no clutch gene. I totally get the upsetness at the playoff results and everything. Dak also doesn't play defense. That's the issue. The team didn't play defense either. Like, you could have easily had, if your defense had done anything, a Jags-Chargers game. He threw for 400 yards. It was garbage time. It's fake stats. He played great against the Packers years ago. Played great against the Bucs. Played well against the Rams. Defense didn't show up. He's got a bunch of fourth-quarter comebacks. He led 2 game-winning drives this year against playoff teams. But everything about this team chokes in the postseason. The head coach, the quarterback, the ground game. You had 9 All-Pros on this team. How many of them played well? Lamb dropped 2 passes early on. He's been so good. Where was Micah? Drew a holding call. Deron Bland in the secondary. People saying it was man. I kind of think it was zone. People saying it was zone. I think it was man, and the beats were so bad that it looked like zone as a result. You had 3 All-Pro offensive linemen. Did they play like it? No. So yes, Dak gets blamed. I wish it was just one person. I truly do. Because then I can fix it. Because then I'd say, trade Dak, move on, do the Goff Stafford trade, go find somebody else, go trade up for a top 10 pick, whatever, do that. It's not that simple. It's not even as simple as new defensive coordinator or get a linebacker. There's a lot more. And that's why you need real change, and keeping your head coach isn't going to bring you real change. It's just not. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. It's daily fantasy made easy. 2 to 6 player stat projections, and do the flex play. Flex play delivers a lot better results than the all-in power play. My picks for the Niners-Packers game, which TBD if I will still watch, more than 266.5 passing yards for Brock Purdy, more than 51.5 receiving yards for George Kittle, and less than 7.5 rushing yards for Aaron Jones. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for that first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Venom Snake. Jay waited until after the Eagles to drop this. I mean, they were going to do it on Monday, but yeah. Drake I. Tom, I love you and the Cowboys fan base, but I can only support this garbage team and cloud organization. Been real. Brother, I'll be here. I ain't going anywhere. So if and when you want to come back, I'll be here. Brandon J. When has McCarthy ever been elite at scheming up the running game? If Dak gets big eyes in an important game like we know he will, how do you fix it? That's the issue here. Hope the defense got cut off is better. I've seen him also not get big eyes. But my core issue here, but I would agree that he got big eyes against the Packers. The entire team did, right? Like that's a coaching issue. The answer is never for the running game. And the defense, in terms of like shorter term picture, how do you win regular season games next year? I am more worried about your defense. Because this so-called elite defense, year and a half now of sample size, pretty big sample size. You're allowing almost 30 points a game against top 10 to top 15 efficient offenses. So the teams you play in the postseason are destroying you. That's an issue. So when it comes to Dan Quinn, because I know some of you guys want to get rid of him. I don't blame you. I don't know who that is. Joe Witt just going to be your replacement? What are you doing with Dan Quinn? FQ for fire Quinn, KQ for keeping him. The great Duke Bothers gets out of the way now. Here's a penny for every penalty the Cowboys will commit in 2024 due to bad coaching. Spend it wisely. I'm not going to do the math. Still might not be enough. I'm kidding. Thank you, great Duke Bothers. Mark, poll, who's worse? Biden as president, Jerry Jones as GM. I don't do politics here. I stick to sports on principle. I hate politics. Travis Smitty, trade Parsons to try to draft Caleb Williams. Not the first time I've actually seen this suggested. Is worth the conversation about. Okay, so you have a potentially new franchise guy. It does require a team that needs a franchise quarterback to say, because the Bears should not just roll with Fields, by the way. To say, let's just say The Bears say yes in the hypothetical scenario. Great. You now have Caleb Williams. You're doing whatever with Dak Prescott. You're still eating that bad contract. So you're still paying quarterback money, kind of like you did with Romo and Dak, by the way. And you couldn't do it because whatever bullshit. You're not going to spend money. You have now traded away your best defensive player. How are you going to get better on defense? I think we would all agree the defense isn't good enough as concerned. At least we should agree on that. So if you're trading away the best player to fix your quarterback issue, let's say it fixes it, and let's say Caleb's him, how do you fix the defense? The Chiefs are great right now. It ain't because of their offense. Their defense playing lights out right now. Niners have a great defense. Another different quarterback money spot-wise, but shit, Mahomes made almost $40 million on the cap this year. My concern with this solution, it's a plan, and I appreciate it because you're trying something. How do you get better on defense? It is still a team sport. Quarterback's most important, gets too much blame, too much credit, but it is still a team sport. So when it comes to Dak, you have three options. Pay him right now and make the supporting cast better, because if you do pay Dak, by the way, it does free up a significant amount of more money. If you just want to rebuild, D for dump, and I am on board with it. I can't do nothing. If I do nothing, I'm setting myself up for failure. It's not going to work at all. You're going to be significantly worse, I fear, and you're just going to delay the inevitable. So if you pay him, you can go be aggressive in that 2 to 3 year window, 4 years, whatever the figure is. You dump him, you're rebuilding. Okay, cool. You do nothing. What are you going to do? Chris B., you know any names they were considering for head coach? They were linked to Belichick speculatively. They didn't really do it. Like at all. Austin. I'm going to keep the mistake of keeping McCarthy. If we taking that route and keeping Dak, what moves are you making to make us better? Who are you going after? Again, you have two paths, right? Go all in, which does mean an extension. I know you guys don't like that. I get it. But if you want to win games right now, that's how you do it. At that point, I can free up money. I can either give, frankly, you could literally, for this year's salary cap, you could extend Dak, pay CD, and pay Micah, and free up salary cap space. Like a pretty good amount of it, but by the way, like a significant amount of it. I'm looking like Azeez Al-Shaair at linebacker, helping me out there. I'm going to have a new plan at left tackle because I cannot trust Tyron Smith. If he wants to play great, incentive-based deal, I'm cutting Gallup. I'm filling all of my needs with at least passable players that are more than Chuma Adoga and Ronald Jones. And I'm going straight BPA, and I'm not taking Michigan man projects. How about that? Now, we'll do an ideal offseason video. You aren't going to like it. I can tell you that right now. Maybe we'll do an ideal win now and an ideal rebuild video. That might go over better. We'll have free videos for you guys every single day. Cut Candidates was going to go tonight. I delayed it. It was going to go tomorrow. It'll go this weekend at some point. Hit that sub button for more free Cowboys YouTube videos. Cammy Elf Gaming. Who is the premier option at DC with Quinn leaving? Who wants to take a job where the head coach is going to get fired after a year? Or is at least on the hottest seat in America? None of the good DCs are going to want to take the lame duck head coach job. So the solution is I'm going to take Joe Witt probably. And is that really going to fix anything? I don't think so. Or Dan Quinn comes back and we're just running it back with the same shit. From Joe, feel any different if Dak takes less? I mean, it depends on how much is less, you know? Like, of course, I think that helps you. It really comes down to, hey, Dak, are you going to do us a big favor? Because that's what it'd be a big favor. Because there's also, how about this? I will broker everyone wants to take less, right? I will broker a negotiation of Dak will take less. It's never going to happen, but I'll do it for fun anyway. Dak agrees to take less. It is written into his contract that the difference must be spent on free agency. Because they did this when they didn't have Dak on a big contract at all, and they didn't spend money in free agency. So if they promised it in free agency, yes, Let's ride. Go be aggressive. Would Jerry do it, though? I don't know if he would. I'd feel better about it. I think that makes the go now mode make more sense than the rebuild mode. But I'd prefer one of those two. And I feel we're not going to get either in the end. What would you grade the McCarthy era in Dallas so far? A, B, C, D, or F? We are way behind on supers, folks. We will get caught up on those all right now. As long as the supers come in, we will not go home because I care more than Jerry cares. So grade it. There's a lot of low grades in there. If regular season is a B plus, if not an A minus, playoffs is like a D. You won one. Maybe it's a D minus. So I don't know. C with A plus expectations. That's a good answer. I like that answer. All right, Gotham guy, why is Jerry delaying the inevitable? All the available good coaches available this year might not be there next year. What will Jerry do then after a disappointing season? I don't know. Like, the report from Archer was that they weren't going to consider, younger coaches. It was going to be experienced guys only. What do you expect if you're only going to hire retreads? Like, you can't just keep doing that. Maybe you find that Andy Reid. Great. Shoot, Reid was about to quit, Seriously, he was. He's like, I'm not the right guy to maximize Mahomes. He was going to quit, and she was like, nah, give it a year. They won the whole damn thing. I don't know. Paul, I want to coach with a neck. Fernando Garcia. So Mike's going to keep calling plays. After not doing anything against Green Bay, I don't like that he's still the head coach, but I would feel better if Dallas gets a real OC, but it's not. I assume the rest of that is going to happen. Yeah, you're right. It's not going to happen. No, first off, no offensive coordinator or guy who wants to call plays going to be like, let me go to the coach who is the hottest seat in the country, and I'm going to call the plays for an offense that he just took away play calling to save his own job. Now he's getting it. And in the end, I would agree. I'd feel a little bit better if you had a real OC. But then why is Mike even here? In that case, just fire Mike, go hire Ben Johnson. Go hire Bobby Slowick. I legitimately think it might be a little rocky early on. I think you would have a vastly better chance. And we're talking, it's at 1, so anything like that is pretty high. A vastly better chance of if you plugged in one of the Shanahan coaching tree guys and said, you take over. The Cowboys offense got good this year, really good, when they ran the Shanahan stuff. And then they didn't do it in the postseason. They didn't do it on the road in big games. It wasn't just that they weren't executing, they weren't calling the good plays anymore. You saw it with Kellen for whatever reason, too. It's an organizational disease. They call the fun stuff, and then on the road, gets tight, good opponents, playoffs, they go, oh, no, that's too risky. Everything about this organization is scared. The owner's scared of not being a playoff team. That's why he's keeping Mike. Dumb. Caden, why does Jerry care more about his ego and the success of this team or the happiness of this fan base? Jerry wants to win. Jerry wants to win his way. And he wants the credit for it, too. It's a bad way to... You're not in the right business then, Jerry. Ecuador, man, defense was good against San Francisco twice. Dak wasn't good. Those were his 2 bad games, plus a bad half against Green Bay. And it's really annoying when it happens in 3 straight years, obviously. But that's also not the entire picture, though. The ground game has been... honestly, the most consistent thing in every loss you've had is the non-existent ground game. And I think it is very clear that this quarterback isn't the freakazoid, top 4 superhuman alien tier guy that can overcome if the defense isn't playing good and the offensive supporting cast or coaching is bad. He needs at least 2 of those things as well. Whether it's a good aggressive play calling on offense, the defense shows up, or, like the Seahawks game when you actually just kind of had something resembling decentish ground game and you just aired it out the entire time, which, again, not a good defense. But he's not that guy. that guy's really hard to find. And if you think you need that guy, then you need to rebuild. He's not going to become that. He doesn't have the traits for it. He doesn't. It's not who he is. He's maxed himself out, and frankly, a better version than I ever thought he would be coming out of Mississippi State. I thought Dak was not going to be that good. The Cowboys tried to take Connor Cook and Paxton Lynch before him. They wanted him. And I meant to say this, by the way. I didn't tell my story on Sean Payton. The one of the reasons why you finally paid Dak all those years ago was Sean Payton was like, hey, if you're not going to pay him, can I trade for him? And they're like, oh, shit, we should do it. So it's such a bad way to run an organization. It's such a bad way. From Yugi, our only hope is the Gruden emails for Jerry to hopefully be forced to sell the team. I almost wonder if Jerry's too big to fail. He's like the banks, right? He's too big to fail. I also can't wish for that because that's wishing like that you hope he's just a terrible human being. And I'm uncomfortable wishing for that to be the case. It is the only way it happens. But it feels dirty to me, you know? Kansu's son, Cowboys are a brand. Jerry will never stop interfering until his brand takes a hit. Hurt the brand and he will go away. Beg for Derrick Henry. I'm down to add Derrick Henry, but I have to change my run blocking in my offensive line. You guys know that Tony Pollard was third in forced missed tackles after week 9? He was third, and they couldn't run the ball. It's also why I don't believe in ever paying backs or drafting one in the first round, because the things you need to be successful are far too heavily influenced on the supporting cast relative to others in a team sport. Like if your O-line's bad, if you're constantly hit behind line of scrimmage, what was the game? Dolphins game? Might have been. Well, I forget what game it was, but it was he had 48 yards on the ground or something, and 46 of them were after contact. I saved that somewhere. I'll go look up another day. Brutal. I'm also now being called both a Dak hater and a Dak truther, which by the way makes me think I've found the proper balance. But it's fine. Everyone's upset. I get it. I take no offense to it. Awesomest dude, 49. Trade McCarthy for Dable and a 4th. Have you guys been following the Giants coaching drama? It's not pretty. And there are worse places to be than with the Cowboys right now. Sounds like Brian Dable doesn't play well with others, is maybe the way I would describe it. That at one point this year, is this a report? Because obviously, he and Wink Martindale had a massive falling out. And apparently, at one point down the stretch this year, I forget what game it was. I'm just going to pull it up. I'm just going to pull it up here. Because there's no reason to misquote things that are all on the record there. Let's see if that pops up here. Oh, here it is. New York Daily News. I assume it was, the reporter was Pat Leonard. There we go. Okay. So, mid-season this year, when the Giants were up over the Commanders 28-12, at this point, Joe Shane, their GM, had started to listen in on the sidelines to like what was going on. And at that point, Brian Dable said to Martindale, you're going to blow this game for us just like you did the Jets game, which, of course, the Giants had 0 offense in that football game. And Dable was just blaming the defensive coordinator, and other Giants coaches have told other coaches, do not come here. It's a nightmare. Like, apparently Dable's he might be a good offensive mind, apparently just not a good leader of other coaches. Which, I think I said before too, the stuff that makes you a great offensive coordinator is the stuff that gets people excited about you and gets you interviews as a head coach. The stuff that makes you a good head coach is going to end up not being the same stuff. So, no on that front. Rebuild. Jerry doesn't know the Cowboys are taking a hit. We are the annual laughing stock of the league, and we never fail to please. It is very annoying to me, and I think it's also the more hate against the Cowboys. All the shows do is talk about us. All they do. There's playoff games going on, and this is going to lead SportsCenter for a week. And Jerry thinks all news is good news. He's one of them boys. Don't like it. Chris B., Jerry's going to hire Jason Witten next year. LMAO. The problem is I can't rule this out as a possibility. Which speaks to just massive systemic issues in your organization. Witten's having a good high school coaching career, by the way. To be clear, this would be stupid. This would be stupid. It's a horrible idea. It's right up there with making Romo your OC, your head coach. It's the bad idea. Because you have to learn to be a head coach. That's why Jerry didn't want to go with the young guy. I sin to win. Sounds like the super chat for shots. Dak could have played well, and we still would have lost. If your defense played the way they did the entire game, yeah. I mean, let's say it was 14 points caused by the offense, which is maybe more was like expected points out. It was like 10 or whatever. They allowed a lot of points in that game. You can, and they gave up. Like, they didn't get a stop after the second drive or whatever until the final 5 minutes of the game. Can't win like that. You just can't. From Paul, we have a number 3 pick sitting on the bench. We would have to go 3 and 14 of a guy of Trace talent. Why do we ignore this? Wasn't he a phenom? So, yes and also no. I would not view this as we have a number 3 pick sitting on the bench. I don't think that's a fair evaluation of what Lance is. I think the better way to evaluate this is we have a 4th round pick sitting on the bench. Because that's what you traded for Lance. Now, if you had spent the 3rd overall pick, different conversation. But Lance, I liked him a lot coming out of North Dakota State. But there were things he was going to have to figure out. He's had some injuries. He changed his mechanics. He doesn't, like, if you talk about, people want to say Dak's not accurate. Lance is not accurate right now. Now, he's got a cannon. He's got mobility. The raw traits are there. But we're there for Josh Rosen. They're there for Zach Wilson. A lot of these guys just flame out and bust, unfortunately. He was exciting, but Lance has played like 500 snaps since high school. Like, that's it. He is, by the way, the same age as Bo Nix, which is kind of hilarious to think about, and other quarterbacks this year. But I don't think it's fair, like expectation framing, if that phrase makes sense. So he's a 3rd overall pick. Yes, that doesn't mean that's what you should expect out of him. When you traded a 4th round pick for him, you were hoping maybe you struck gold. You're hoping to have a backup quarterback. Because I do think you want mobility in any quarterback, but especially your backup quarterback. I think Lance can still do that. We haven't seen him. That trade was all about the preseason. Let's see how he does in the preseason. I would also say this part too. You know, when the mouthpiece came out and said Lance wasn't an option, and the same article they said they were going to keep Mike McCarthy, that might mean the results that they've seen so far in practice have not been very good. Brent Workman, Quinn needs to leave. Who could replace him? Is Brent's profile picture the duck race of him winning? That's pretty funny. Here's my issue. Who's going to come take this job? You're working for a lame duck coach, barring some crazy last-minute change that has not been expected at all. Lame duck coach let's be honest, he's going to get fired. It's not going to work. It does great. That's not an appealing job. No one wants to uproot their families for a year and get canned when there are other jobs they can get. Like, you're not going to get the good candidates there. If Quinn leaves, frankly, I think it's going to be Joe Witt. Joe Witt was a McCarthy guy first. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's not. There's a real possibility, guys, that the love for Dan Quinn was all just, actually, it was Micah Parsons being a game destroyer on defense. It all might be fool's gold. It really sucks. Ben Wood, a first-time super chat. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Carl Bruh. I don't think he realized that Dak plays one spot on the field, not 22. He also doesn't coach the team, but constantly rallies it around him. It's coaching and ownership, constants in our failure. I would agree with this. I would also say, especially from the ownership perspective, I have to work around those constraints, I'll call them. And if you're not going to go be aggressive to give the support that you need, then it's just never going to happen with your guy. Now, I will say this again. I've said it before too. If you're trying to find the new quarterback, guys, you don't want to be out there. You don't know what it's like out there. You don't want to be out there in those streets. You don't want to be looking for your guy and going like, this is our franchise guy. How many quarterbacks have the Jets missed on? How many, look at the Patriots that have, Mac Jones, oh no, we suck again. The Browns are still searching for the guy. They have never had one since they moved back to Cleveland, and they've spent resources. The Bills finally found one, you know? The Texans, I think, have finally found one. There are examples of it working, obviously. The Commanders, we like to meme on Kirk Cousins. The Commanders have never replaced Kirk Cousins. I think they're finally about to. The Giants paid $40 million to a guy who has literally never been as good as that Dak Prescott. Those are the streets out there. You don't want to be out there because you don't know what it's like out there. It ain't fun. Now, you're a good drafting team. If you tank properly, you can give yourself some really good chances at it. And if you keep getting number one picks, you'll hit one eventually, right? It's the same team your same ownership that wanted to draft Johnny Manziel had to be talked out of it. Same ownership in front office that was like, Paxton Lynch is our guy, and they bemoaned the fact afterwards they did not get Paxton Lynch. They were upset about it. It ain't a guarantee. It should scare you a little bit. Now, at a certain point, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to. I will also say the part too. You've lucked into Romo and Dak twice now. Luck might be on your side and everything else. It ain't on your side there. It's scary streets. If you're tearing your issues, I don't think quarterback is one of them. Or let me phrase that. Is not near the top of them. Kenneth Easley. C.J. Anderson made the Cowboys got to stop the run. Years later, the obvious problem, how can we fix this issue? You know what? This is also what's frustrating to me. You did stop the run in the first half against Green Bay. They did not run the ball that well against you. Jordan Love destroyed your pass defense, which was one of the underlying issues in your late season collapse on defense. You couldn't stop the passing game. Geno Smith destroyed you. The Bills ran all over you. The Dolphins aired it out successfully against you. You had the Lions aired it out against you. You had passing defense issues. And that was your strength. The solution is to make Mozzie fat again, by the way. I still don't know what caused it. But Mozzie, I've heard 307, I've heard 297, 294. He was down like 30 pounds this season. And the Cowboys weren't fining him, which they would be able to do and would have done, frankly, if he went rogue and lost weight on his own. So they knew about it. Whether it was their idea or not, my theory is that they Tyrone Crawford him, where lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight to fill the other need they wanted. Because I think their plan was, hey, we're going to draft him, nose guard, play with Hankins. Then, okay, well, let's play them both, but we can't have two 300-plus pound guys. We're just going to sit them. We're going to have them lose weight. Get linebackers that can read and react properly. You know, I had hopes for Damone Clark. Maybe you've seen the clips on Twitter too. They're out there. He's lost. I mean, they're running off the right guard, and Damone Clark is following a tight end 20 yards downfield to the right. They're just lost in the sauce. their scheme. They had success with that bear front, right? That kind of like 5 guys up front, two box players. Had success stopping it. Didn't do much against Green Bay. I don't know. They were playing J-Ron Curse in the back end. I don't know. Brando Garcia, who do you think might be available as head coach next season? Assuming our only candidates will probably be the ones that got fired or an outsider. Maybe Vrabel takes a year off. Not outside the realm of possibility. Honestly, if you just run it back with no new changes, next year might be the year Jerry says, fuck it, I'm going to rebuild. I have my doubts about that, but maybe that's the path you go. And then the door's open to everything. But, I mean, at that point, it's like, going to hire Frank Reich? That's like, kind of why, like, you wanted the veteran coach, right? It's great to do it. I don't know. David Chase. Let me drink this here. Hold on. Romo for OC, he is the reason Dak was good his first season. So, I've seen this a lot. I'm not trying to, like, attack David or anything. But it is categorically untrue. I will tell you guys the real story. And I've said it before, too, and this has been out there for a while. It was not Tony Romo. It was not. The background info here from a variety of different places that is all true. Romo was trying to save his job up until the end, which I can't blame him for at all. But he was not, whispering in the ear of Dak Prescott, telling him all the answers and, being the great vet mentor. That was Mark Sanchez who was doing that. Romo, who I will forever love. I tried to name the dog Romo, by the way. I was outvoted 1-1 by my wife. Romo, the players on that team outside of Witten, didn't know where Romo lived. Everyone knows where Dak's got the football field in his backyard and inviting dudes over all the time, etc. The players didn't know where Romo lived until Dak kind of started to take over. And then it was, why don't you guys come over for dinner? Because he realized, oh, shit, I'm losing this. That press conference that they called, by the way, or that they had, which the whole meritocracy thing was a good press conference. Romo didn't tell anybody. He just told the media. No one in the organization knew what was going on until they started rioting and be like, "What are you here for?" Like, you don't know? You don't know? That wasn't told to people. I think Romo was a more physically gifted quarterback than Dak Prescott was, but he was not the reason for Romo's first year success, or for Dak's first year success. Mark Sanders helped quite a bit. Other years it was John Kitna. For whatever reason, you always seem to have someone that you want to give the credit to for Dak. It was Kitna. It was Mark. It was Romo. It was Kellen. It was Mike. At a certain point, maybe he's just good. I'm not saying he's great, or he's top 3, or whatever, or he's going to win MVP, or is a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying any of that. But at a certain point, just good. Just good. In the end, by the way, everyone gets mad at me, when I say it. The Romo Cowboys and the Dak Cowboys are the exact same team. Different reasons each year. Sometimes your defense is good. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have a great supporting cast that still collapses. The head coach still is not nearly good enough, by the way. The ownership doesn't change. They're the same team. By the way, you can put up the numbers side by side this many games in. They're almost identical. Yeah. Everyone's like efficiency, EPA and stuff. They're right there. By the way, I don't think that's a bad thing. Those are good quarterbacks. But is it good enough? Fair conversation. All right, I'm going to put 2 minutes here on the clock. It's already past 10 p.m. If no more supers come in, we will sign off. And I think we'll go live tomorrow. I don't know. I got to play the numbers on that one. Probably makes sense to still go live. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. That makes more sense. You can still do those vent sessions. It'll be in the 24-hour window I'll allow it for. Probably won't do my ideal offseason plan. Here's the thing. Like the segment we always do is ideal offseason plan, perfect offseason plan. You're already past ideal and perfect. I can't get there. We're past it. So maybe I should have done it beforehand. Maybe it was a miss by me. There's so many juicy tidbits out there. I don't know. Minutes to go here, then we'll sign off. 79% of you voting no. 79%. I like Joseph's comment of, just on the side here, you need a good running game. Dak needs running game to help him excel. It's not a bad thing, but it's needed. You either need a running game that you can lean on, or you have to just abandon it. And what you can't do is what they did against the Packers and come out run, pass, and run on second downs and average like 3 yards a carry with your backs. A great running game would be nice. And I still think, by the way, I think your running game issues have been a scheme thing. I don't think it was it's a player thing as well, of course. Like the crux of the issue was the scheme thing. Remember when they were running that outside toss play for 2 games? Like they toss it and they go up the middle? That play worked. I haven't seen it in a month. It's like I don't get it. You had plays that worked for you. I gave Mike credit for doing them, and they stopped doing them again. And the end result is the end result. What you got? I've seen it every year for 10 years now. I don't get it. $5 from Michael, so we'll put a minute on the clock here, reset it. The draft needs to be a great one. So to be clear, 1 minute ago, then we'll sign off. 10 of the year where draft packs don't make an impact. Free agency and trades got to be considered as well. I completely agree. You cannot do it again where you spend a first-round pick on a nose guard and he drops 30 pounds and you're going, well, why is he light? We're idiots. I don't know. You can't spend a second-round pick on a backup tight end who you want to be able to run the ball and then you can't run the ball with. Because, by the way, if your rookie tight end is not a good enough pass catcher and he comes on the field, it says, we're going to run the ball. Okay, it was the opposite of the Bills. Bills were doing tight end stuff. They couldn't block. They're going to pass it. Oh, it didn't make any sense. I will say I think Overshown was going to be good before he got hurt. But as come off the ACL, is it going to be return to performance or return to play? That's a question mark. Your 4th-round pick was not even active, Junior Fayoko, who I think could have helped you if he'd been healthy and he missed a bunch of camp too. He could be a decent run-stopping defensive end for you. Your 5th-round pick didn't play, Eric Scott. Your 5th-round pick, Austin Richards, barely played. Your 6th-round pick, Deuce Vaughn, legitimately was one of your most impactful players, or your impactful first-year guys, and he barely played. How does that make sense for this as a football team? That can't happen. Your best picks were UDFAs, and that's not how any of this is supposed to work. It's just like you had a terrible draft class. Now, I'm not out on those guys, to be clear, but you got to start making some decisions here in terms of how you do better. Like, to put it in perspective, Deuce Vaughn had more yards than Luke Schoonmaker did. Your 2nd-round pick. Come on, guys. David Chase will reset the timeline here. Thank you, David. So 1 minute to go. Should Dallas draft a quarterback? And if so, what type of quarterback should they go for? Running quarterback or mobile quarterback with a reliable arm with possibilities? I think in general, the solution is like, hey, you got to draft the good one, I don't. Honestly, my answer is no. Unless you would say like in late day 3. Like you use that 4th-round pick on Trey Lance. That's your drafted quarterback. If you, I'm not opposed to resetting at quarterback, but if Dak's on this team, we just got through you need your draft picks to make an impact. Well, they're not going to make an impact if you're spending a one on a quarterback. They're never going to play for you. 2 of them would not be playing for you because Lance is going to be on this team too. So I'm not doing it this year. Now, next year or the year after, if you bottom out and you do rebuild, absolutely. And I think you need mobility. I don't think you can be a statue in the pocket and have success in the modern day NFL. Now, you can be a pocket manipulator and have success. I'm not saying you need a pure runner, but you do need some mobility. You would need the Joe Burrow level of mobility. Like, Burrow's he's not Lamar Jackson or Fields or whatever, or even Josh Allen, but he can manipulate the pocket well. Now, Dak can do that in the pocket stuff too. You can't be drafting, Drew Henson. You can't be drafting Drew Bledsoe and I think have success in the modern day NFL. I don't think that's going to work enough. So whenever you do get a new one, at some point you will, you have to have the mobility from that perspective. All right, 1 more minute to go. Reset again. Jimmy Productions says, Jerry, be active in free agency. Big name guys and go for big trades. I'm not even asking for that. I'm asking to do something in free agency. Something of somewhat note. I'm going to pull this up here as I rant here. I had it at some stage. I have to do it the tricky bit way. It's annoying. Stand by. Your free agent moves over the years, right? Ooh, you got this past year was Chuma Adoga, Trent Segan, Ronald Jones. Ooh, you signed Anthony Barr in August. Beyond that, it was the J-Ron Curse one worked out pretty damn well for you. But that was that was like a low key deal. Your last big free agency move was literally Dontari Poe, who took fatties only too literally and ate himself out of the NFL. That's mean, but it's also true. Like, Dontari Poe signed this contract with the Dallas Cowboys and then got cut into the first year of it and has not played since because he was too fat. He lasted like, how many games is it? 7 games. Hasn't played since. Is it embarrassing? I'm not even asking for the big sexy moves. I'm asking to do stuff to make your team better. It can be as simple as go sign Azeez Al-Shaair. It's a good linebacker in Tennessee. The Niners linebackers have always had success in the NFL for whatever reason. They're just over that. Like, that's what you have to do. You have to do something that's not a fringe offensive lineman and a running back who's also already out of the NFL and a long snapper. That's not going to work. Jimmy, can we give Dak a 1-year deal so we're not locked into him? Frankly, no. Because of the fact that you screwed this up the first time, for years, by the way, you cannot tag him, and Dak controls the leverage. So there's really no reason for Dak to say, yes, I will take a 1-year deal. It comes down to, is Dak / his agent really? Didn't get along with Stephen Jones, which is not a new thing for players and 8-player agents and Stephen Jones. Is he going to say, you know what? Dak wants to be here. We'll do more of a team-friendly deal, help you guys out. Or is Todd France, who always wants to get the most money for his players, as all these agents do, going to play hardball? I think he can play hardball and say, I'm just going to go to free agency. I can get there. And quarterbacks of Dak's caliber don't reach free agency. It doesn't happen. And when they do, or even guys a tier below, they get a fully guaranteed 3-year deal like Kirk Cousins did. Screwed this up years ago. You reaped, and now you're sowing. I sin to win. What do you say with the offensive line? I hope they don't pay Tyler Biadasz. He's not a bad player, but I don't want to pay big money to a decent player. Martin, I think, will come back for 1 more year at least. Hopefully, Terrence Steele gets better. Honestly, I know it's not sexy, but I would like to draft a lineman in the first round. Like, the way I think the board will fall, I think there will be a good player for you. And if you can bring back Tyron Smith on like a 1-year incentive deal. Great. You can ride with either Tyler Smith or TJ Bass at guard. You can ride with Tyler Smith or a draft pick at left tackle. You can ride with a draft pick at center. Down with Graham Barton. Not sexy. There's some good centers this year, I think. You might be able to gamble on Brock Hoffman. Kind of look decent. Maybe that's the way you want to go. Like I think offensive line makes sense. They are consistently good at drafting offensive linemen, even when I don't think the pick's going to be good. They tend to do a really good job there, especially in round 1. I think that every team's philosophy should be spend a top 100 pick on an offensive lineman and a day 3 pick. Now, you're going to draft a lot of Josh Balls in the process, especially on day 3. That's okay. You'll hit enough, I think, to make it worthwhile as opposed to drafting, an Eric Scott too. Dominator. Hey, Tom, glad you're here for the long haul, but I got to be honest, these decisions suck and the future doesn't look great. I get it. I don't disagree with you. It's not a fun spot to be. Austin, thoughts on trading for Justin Fields? I'm not a fan. Like Fields, he's a downgrade at quarterback. Like pretty clearly, by the way. He's more athletic, got a stronger arm, but he's not nearly polished enough. It's still all flashes. I don't think Bears coaching staff is very good to support him. I think it makes more sense between like the Falcons or Patriots. But I'm not going to go trade for a downgraded quarterback. And then, by the way, have to then pay him too. Because Fields is going to be up for a new contract. So if you trade for Fields, you're kind of like saying he's now our guy. You're eating the dead money from Dak. I think if you want to replace Dak, like realistically, whether it's this year, next year, whenever, you need to have a bottom out season. You need to bottom out and go get that top 5, top 3, top 2, number 1 pick. That's not going to be fun. But you can't go back to we're going to spend second-round picks on Quincy Carter, and we're going to sign veterans and Drew Bledsoe and Vinny Testaverde, and we're going to try baseball players, and you have to invest the way you need to. Jerry doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to rebuild. He doesn't think he has time for it. But it's the short-term lack of vision for the long term I think is going to kill this team in the end. Jimmy, I would just let him walk and go with Lance if we lose in the playoffs. That's fine, but I think you have enough information to make that decision now. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to have to you're either going to pay Dak $60 million this year, which you can't do. You can't. You're never going to win that way. Mahomes can't win that way with that figure. There's just no way. None of these guys can. It's an obscene figure. So you either extend him or you restructure, save not quite as much, and then you put money into next year. And you're still eating like $50 million next year if you do that. That's why you paid him with the plan of doing the extension, but now you're waffling based on one bad half, which is what we're doing, by the way. Which is fine. I get it. It's a terrible dog shit half. But that is what we're doing. So either pull the cord now or pay him. Because the middle ground is just going to delay the inevitable. And by the way, Lance is also due for a new contract. Those deals expire at the same time. So look, if Lance looks great in the preseason, maybe you can work out some type of Jordan Love prove-it contract, okay. You're kind of committing to Lance, who in theory only played in the preseason, and it's like, is that really the path you want to go down? You trust him maybe more as a backup with the mobility boost, but I think if you want to replace Dak, which again, I think rebuilding is a fine plan, it's better than this, do-nothing strategy. You got to pull the cord. And it's not going to be fun. We're not going to have a good time until you find him. And then it's going to be fun again. There'll be some more hope, but it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So if you want to pull it, okay. You want to win games right now, you got to be aggressive, and you got to do some smart things, short-term and long-term. Jerome Nichols, have an issue with Big Mike. Team needs to be active in the first and second wave free agency. Whoever is brought in has to be a locker room guy. This team lacks focus and toughness. I would agree. I would also argue if your team lacks focus and toughness, isn't that a coaching failure? Because I do agree with you. We've seen it for years now. Now, I would, at the same time, it's an ownership issue. The most true thing Jalen Smith said in his life is if the owner ain't tripping, we good, or some variation of that. The owner is not yet tripped. He saw a colossal, terrible performance of a 4-3 loss that isn't even remotely how blowout of a game that was, and went, we'll just try it again. That's not accountability. The players might be like, yeah, we screwed up. Well, they'll say the right things. You need actions too. But no actions for this team for 27 years now. It's just this year it'll be different. It's not going to be. Michael, Tom, what's your honest opinion of how Steven run the team when Jerry is gone? Take a back seat, let professional handle things with the same ship. Oh, it's the same ship. He's already heavily involved in this team. The day that Stephen Jones prevented Jerry Jones from drafting Johnny Manziel instead of Zach Martin, when Stephen saved the day, made the right decision, is the day this team adopted, we're going to play the middle ground. You watched our video at the end this morning. I brought it up again. Jerry Jones told Stephen's son, I hope you're happy, but you don't get to do the fun things in life, the awesome things in life, be the owner of the Dallas Cowboys by playing it right down the middle. That was right down the middle. Since that moment, every decision this team has made, the big decisions, been played right down the middle. They play it cautiously. They don't spend much in free agency. They don't do a lot of aggressive trades. If they do, it's day 3 picks that they send. They give coaches the longest leeway. They give you 10 fucking years of the same shit. They play everything down the middle. I miss Trader Jerry. I miss Wildcat and Jerry. Because they would have tried things at least. They're not trying things. They're doing the same thing, hoping it's going to be different. And I have no faith it will be. Damn funeral up in here. Jimmy, what round will Pruitt and Travis be drafted? Wait, which Pruitt and which Travis? There's a lot of Travis. Oh, do you mean... Oh, he talks about quarterbacks, right? So I think he means Michael Pratt and Jordan Travis. It is my guess. The Tulane kid and the FSU kid. I don't know. Day 3s. We'll see if Travis Griff. That's a pretty bad leg injury. Dak injury. Pratt's got some, I think, is better upside, but I think both those guys are kind of day 3-ish quarterbacks, which, again, I don't see any benefit. You have one in Lance right now. Brett Reed, are fans the only ones seeing divisional round exit? I think we're going to get to the divisional round? I'm not sure we're going to be. You might lose in the wild card. The NFC's curse is real. You ain't winning the division next year, folks. Ain't no way. It's going to be somebody else. It'll be a wild card team on the road against the Lions or Packers or Niners or somebody, and you'll lose. That's what I think is going to happen. Jimmy, if we draft quarterback in the 6th round, we cut Cooper Rush, yeah. But again, if you're playing this like 1-year deal stuff, there's no benefit because you're gonna have a new guy in charge, and that guy might not want that day 3 quarterback pick, so kind of becomes a waste in the end. From Paul, if Dallas did nothing but revamp the D, we can go far. A pick 6 slow start shouldn't be the end of the world in a playoff game. A little hope. Put it in perspective. Before the pick 6 happened, if you look at the win probability stuff, you were already down to 10%. Before the pick 6 even happened, you had a 10% chance of winning the football game. That's when I put garbage time filters on like my advanced metric stuff, that's one of the default options. I go to 10 or I go to 6. That's garbage time. You were in that before the pick 6 even happened. Shows you how bad you were. And the offense gets blamed too. Shows you how bad you were. I do think if you revamp it, you can go further. But can you? Will you? Because if you're going to have the assets available from a money perspective to revamp the defense, You have to commit to this quarterback. And that's your path to doing it. And I'm on board with that, if that's the path you want to pursue. My concern is they're just going to do nothing. And they're going to go, we'll see what happens. And that's not going to work. As I've said before, I would rather be aggressive or rebuild. I think you have to pick one. You have enough data. You have enough sample size stuff to know these answers if you run a professional football team. And if you don't know, you actually do know. It's a no on the answer, by the way. You have to pick one. And I fear they will do this. If you say we're going to let Mike and Dak ride out the final year of their contract, you're boned. You are football screwed because you're not going to have the money you want. You're going to risk the loss of Dak no matter what. There is a scenario in the multiverse that exists, right? There is the scenario that Dak plays out of his damn mind. The defense is better. Everything clicks. It's a miracle Joe Flacco-esque year with the Ravens. The defense suddenly plays lights out, and you win the Super Bowl, and Dak says, fuck you, I'm out. Because you're like, you didn't believe in me. You didn't want to pay me. You had no respect for me. I'm taking my millions of dollars, and I'm going to go play for a team and an owner and a fan base that loves me and wants me. That is a real, not real, that is a scenario that hypothetically exists. Because you have zero control if you don't pay Dak this offseason. None. That's not a fun spot to be. Now, I think that scenario is like 1 in 75 million billion trillion, but it's a multiverse, so it exists. That's why I don't like the way you've handled this. Make up your mind. Do it or don't. Do it or don't. Ben Harris, I think we should sign DeAndre Swift. He's unutilized with the Eagles. He will not cost that much. He's an upgrade. We should have hired Belichick. I think you can find a running back this year for fairly cheap in the free agency market. I don't want to pay backs big money because I think they're too dependent on the supporting cast around them, more so than other positions. But Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard even. There are other guys I'm forgetting too. They're all going to be free agents. 5 teams are not breaking the bank for a back. The market's deflated right now. I think you can find a pretty good one fairly cheaply. Fernando Garcia. If Mike Tomlin's available next season, should Dallas hire him? You know, someone would ask, who's your head coach next year? Good name. It falls into the Mike Vrabel category of like, yeah, I think that works. There's been a little bit of locker room issues in Pittsburgh. On one hand, it's the Antonio Brown thing, right? Like, was Mike Tomlin so good he kept Antonio Brown on the straight and narrow for years, or did he allow Antonio Brown to fester? You know, like, I don't know. I think either way, again, much like Mike Vrabel, who's your offensive coordinator? And that's why you need a real search. To go talk to those guys and say, okay, who's your offensive mind? Because Tomlin's offense has sucked for years now. He let Matt Canada be the OC for years. At a certain point, that does fall on the shoulders of the head coach to make the right OC hire. Kind of got Vrabel fired to a certain extent. Jimmy, hearing what Jerry said, I think they're keeping Dak. I'm not in favor of it. I think it's the wrong decision. I would trade Dak for a first or second. Again, the no trade clause in Dak's deal, A, does not prevent you from trading him. B, does cause issues in trading him. You know, he might say, I don't want to go to that team. I'm only going to this team, whatever. I think at minimum, if the no trade clause is not an issue, you should be able to get the Deshaun Watson trade, the Matthew Stafford trade, et cetera. You should be able to get some good value there. And if you want to rebuild, great. Now, you're eating the $60 million right now, and that sucks. It's not a fun place to be in. But you're rebuilding anyway. So who cares? Eat the dead money at that point. I think if you want to rebuild, this is how you do it. And you have to make a decision. Because you know what I don't want to do? Is I don't want to sit up here a year from now and be, hey, you're allowing Mike McCarthy to let his contract expire. Dak is a free agent. You won a playoff game. You lost in the wild card round again. And I'm sitting up here saying, hey, we're sitting with no apparent future. We have to go rebuild now. The quarterback's going to leave. You saw very poor things or okay things from Trance in the preseason. You can bring him back, sure. You have no future. Your best available option is Kenny Pickett at quarterback or some shit. Like I don't want to be here this time next year. I want to either be, how can I make this team better to win right now? I have my quarterback in place. We're going to go hire a new head coach, whatever. Or I want to be in we are rebuilding. We have a top 4 pick. Who are the quarterbacks? That is where I want to be. We're going to try Russell Wilson. The 4th time's the try is good. Russell's not an option, by the way. Not an option. Like, I don't want to be out here this time next year with no quarterback plan. I don't want to be out there. It's not a fun place to be. I want to have either already bottomed out and I get to go draft my quarterback, or wait a year to draft my quarterback and not be in I don't know what the plan is here. I don't know what the plan's going to be. We're just going to sit around here and do nothing. Or we're going to see what happens. I can't be here this time next year doing it. Make your decision now. You should know what that decision is. Not that you have enough data. Make it. I'm on board with either. What I'm not on board with is sitting here saying we're not going to do anything to these contracts. We're going to see what happens. It will not work. It's not going to work. You lose the super chat there. It's okay. Coley's super chat got lost. It's okay. Feels like a 10-7 or 9-8 year coming. Probably think so. I don't think you're going to have a 12-win year again. I think you'll be a playoff team. But I think that's it. I think that's where we're going to be at. Sucks. And it's not. That's why I have no faith right now. No faith at all. All right. It's been a 2+ hour live stream. Appreciate everyone who tuned in. Thank you. And also sorry. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that. I should be saying sorry. It's a tough night. We'll have more Cowboys videos for you guys tomorrow. We'll be live again tomorrow. You can come back in and complain. It's fine. It is fine. It's good. It is. I am here to listen to the venting. Shit, I might be another therapy hour tomorrow. You got 2 therapy hours in a week. Jesus. Either way. We'll be live tomorrow. More free videos all season long. Hit that sub button right now.